Welcome to the deep dive. I'm so glad you're joining us for this one today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to get into this.
So our mission today is to decode the increasingly blurry line, literally and figuratively, between mobile technology, artificial intelligence, and physical reality in our photography.
Right. It's a huge topic right now.
It really is. And we're basing this entire exploration on a single, just incredibly fascinating journal entry from a writer named Ang.
Mm-hmm.
It's from a series called Notes on Photography, specifically part 236, titled The Mechanics of Natural Bokeh in Mobile Macro Photography, which was published on June 1st, 2026.
It's a brilliant piece of writing, actually, because Ang takes this highly specific, everyday routine,
Yeah.
and uses it to interrogate how much creative agency we've unknowingly handed over to the computers in our pockets.
Okay, let's unpack this because Ang touches on something I know you wrestle with when you take a photo.
Oh, constant.
Right. Because think about looking at a photograph from, say, 50 years ago. There is an implicit sense of trust built into that image.
Totally. You trust what you're seeing.
Exactly. You see a beautiful blurred background behind a portrait and a physical piece of curved glass bent the light to make that happen. It's pure, undeniable physics.
The lens dictated the reality. I mean, the light entered the camera, hit the silver halide crystals on the film, and
A mechanical truth.
right. What you see is the mechanical truth of how that specific optical formula operated in that fraction of a second. The blur wasn't a choice made after the fact.
Yeah, it wasn't a filter.
Exactly. It was a physical consequence of the optics.
But today, you pull out your phone, you snap a picture of your dog or like your garden, and that innate trust is completely gone.
It really is.
We are living in an era where that beautifully blurred background might be physics, or it might be millions of lines of code instantly faking the physics.
Yeah, we are constantly in a position of second-guessing the optical reality of our own digital memories.
Wow, yeah, our own memories.
You capture a moment and immediately have to ask, did the camera physically see this, or did the software just invent a convincing simulation of it?
And that tension is the central dilemma of Ang's entry.
Mm.
I mean, we all want the art. We want incredible professional-looking photos of our lives.
Sure.
But let's be honest, we don't necessarily want to lug around a heavy, complicated camera bag to get them.
Uh-huh.
We want our everyday carry technology, the phone already in our hands, to just do the heavy lifting.
Which it does increasingly well.
But if your phone is smart enough to act like a professional camera without you even asking it to, do you even need a dedicated camera anymore?
That question is an existential threat to traditional photography. But Ang doesn't arrive at this philosophical crisis by trying to create high art, which is what I love about this.
Right, it was super practical.
Exactly. This whole journey starts with a very practical, almost scientific need, which is getting accurate plant identifications.
Right? Ang notes that they actually had to change their entire photography workflow to get these plant IDs right. It's not just a matter of pointing the camera and snapping a quick picture as you walk by.
No, because botanical identification is a highly demanding task for an imaging system.
Yeah.
A blurry snapshot won't give an algorithm, or a botanist for that matter, what they need. You need meticulous documentation of the plant's anatomy.
So Ang breaks down the workflow. They take close-up macro shots of the flowers to see the microstructures, right? Like the petals and the stamen. Then they take close-ups of the leafination. And finally, they pair those details with a wide-angle shot of the entire plant, typically taken horizontally to show the overall growth habit.
Right. You need both the microscopic detail and the environmental context.
Exactly. And this multi-step process is where the technology steps in and does something completely unexpected.
Yeah, this is the crazy part.
So Ang is out photographing cosmos flowers. Now, typically, if you want a macro shot, super close up where the subject is just an inch from the lens, you have to explicitly tell the camera what you are trying to do.
You have to dig into the settings.
Right. You find that little flower icon, you toggle on macro mode, and you force the camera to switch its focus parameters to a closer distance.
But looking at the final shot of the cosmos flowers, Ang realizes the phone had done all of that invisibly.
Invisibly.
Without Ang ever touching a setting or turning on macro mode, the phone's AI detected the subject and automatically applied what Ang wonderfully describes as pretty sensible defaults.
Pretty sensible defaults. I love that phrasing.
What's fascinating here is that exact phrase, sensible defaults. It captures a massive paradigm shift in consumer technology.
How so?
Well, for decades, a camera was a passive tool. It metered light globally. It just saw bright over here, dark over here.
Right, it was just a light gathering box.
Exactly. It sat there, essentially dumb, waiting for the user to adjust the aperture, set the shutter speed, and physically turn the focus ring. The tool relied entirely on the human's situational awareness.
But applying sensible defaults means the tool is active now. It's looking at the world through the lens and running semantic segmentation.
Yes.
It's parsing the scene into distinct categories. It isn't just seeing light and dark. It's identifying, like, this cluster of pixels is a petal, this cluster is a stem, this is the background.
And once it identifies that cosmos flower at close range, it actively makes artistic and technical decisions on your behalf.
It's wild.
It is reading the environment and anticipating your needs before you even articulate them. The camera is shifting from being a simple instrument of capture to an active participant in the creative process.
Yeah, it calculates depth, exposure, and focus, specifically optimized for a floral macro shot.
It honestly makes me think of the evolution of cars.
Oh, that's a good comparison. Right. Like, an old, fully manual film camera is like a classic sports car with a heavy clutch and no power steering.
Yeah.
You have to feel the RPMs, match the revs, and do the physical labor to make the machine perform.
You have to know how to drive it.
Exactly.
Mm.
But this modern smartphone is like a high-end luxury vehicle with lane assist, adaptive cruise control, and an automatic transmission so smooth you don't even feel the gear shifting. You're just holding the steering wheel and pointing the vehicle at the flower. Meanwhile, the AI co-pilot is silently optimizing the engine, adjusting the traction control, and getting you to the destination flawlessly, all without you uttering a single word of instruction.
You just press the gas pedal and take the credit.
Right.
But that invisible co-pilot is precisely what leads Eng down a rabbit hole of doubt. If the computer is silently pulling levers and shifting gears behind the scenes to get the shot, you start to question the authenticity of the final image.
Which pulls us into the visual mystery of the entry.
Yeah.
Eng looks at the photo of the cosmos flowers and notices the background blur, the bokeh. We're talking about that creamy, aesthetic, out-of-focus background that makes the flower pop right off the screen.
And in traditional optical physics, that beautiful bokeh is the hallmark of a physical phenomenon created by a shallow depth of field.
Right.
It requires a physical lens opening up its aperture to bend the light, creating a very narrow slice of focus. Everything in front of or behind that physical plane disperses into overlapping disks of light.
But Eng shot this on a mobile phone, an everyday carry device with tiny, physically limited lenses, and Eng knows the AI is already actively interfering to apply those sensible defaults.
Exactly.
So looking at the beautiful blur behind the cosmos flower, Eng has to ask, is this bokeh the result of a physical optical lens bending light, or is it artificial software processing?
Is the phone just drawing a digital mask around the flower and applying a blur filter to the background to fake the physics?
This raises an important question about how we verify reality in a computationally driven world, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, because Eng doesn't look up the camera's technical spec sheet to figure this out. They don't try to decipher the EXIF metadata attached to the file.
No, they do something so much weirder.
Eng actually uses another artificial intelligence system to verify if the image was created by AI.
It's so meta. It's like bringing in a robot to cross-examine another robot on the witness stand.
That's exactly what it is, and it perfectly illustrates our modern dependency on the very systems we are questioning.
Right.
The verifying AI confirms for Eng that the bokeh was, in fact, achieved through optical means. It was real physics, not software trickery.
Wow.
But the true value of Eng's journal entry is how they identify the specific visual markers of authenticity.
Yeah, because Eng describes the background foliage as having a, quote, smooth, buttery natural texture, and explicitly notes that there are no artificial edges around the flower petals.
Those are the key phrases.
Let's dig into why those two specific details are the ultimate battleground between optical reality and software emulation.
Well, when a physical lens creates bokeh, the transition from what is in focus to what is out of focus is completely organic.
Because it's light.
Because the physical focal plane is a continuous space, right? The light disperses linearly. The edges of the subject slowly melt into the background. That continuous overlapping gradient of light is what Eng means by buttery.
But when software tries to fake that physics, it has to rely on edge detection and depth mapping.
Mm-hmm.
The AI essentially looks for contrast-sharp lines between light and dark, or drastic color shifts to figure out where the flower ends and the background begins. It's trying to separate the subject like a cardboard cutout, so it can selectively blur whatever's behind it.
And algorithms, no matter how powerful, consistently struggle with complex translucent edges.
Like flowers.
Exactly. Flower petals are notoriously difficult for computational photography. Because a petal is thin and slightly transparent, the light and color from the background foliage bleed through the edge of the petal.
So the background light destroys the pixel contrast the AI relies on.
Exactly. The AI gets confused. It looks at a pixel on the edge of the petal and can't mathematically determine if that pixel belongs to the foreground subject or the background layer.
So it guesses.
It guesses, and when it guesses wrong, you get harsh artificial halos. A tiny sliver of the background right next to the petal stays razor sharp because the AI missed it.
I hate when that happens.
Or a crucial piece of the petal's edge gets accidentally blurred out. It's a dead giveaway of software processing.
Right.
The fact that Eng's photo had that seamless, buttery transition and zero harsh artificial edges proved the physical lens was doing the heavy lifting.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, and I want to push back on this entire premise for a second.
Oh, all right.
So Eng is relieved that the blur is optical. The AI confirms it's optical. We celebrate the buttery, natural texture. But let's fast forward a few years. We know how incredibly fast computational photography is advancing. Let's say smartphone cameras start incorporating advanced LiDAR sensors that map a perfect, flawless 3D depth field of the scene. What happens when the edge detection never misses a single pixel?
You're asking about the point of computational singularity, where the simulation is perfect.
Yes, when there are zero artificial edges. When the algorithm handles translucent petals and tiny plant hairs with absolute mathematical precision, and the digital blur is indistinguishable from the optical blur. If the end result is absolutely identical to the human eye, does the distinction between optical and artificial actually matter anymore? Does the source of the blur matter if the aesthetic result is flawless?
Well, to a passive viewer quickly scrolling through a social media feed, probably not.
Right, they wouldn't notice.
If the functional utility of the photo is just to identify a plant or to look pretty on a screen, a perfect AI simulation achieves the outcome. But I would argue that to the creator holding the device, the mechanism fundamentally matters. The mechanism dictates your relationship with the medium.
How so?
If the camera is automatically mapping the depth, masking the subject, and rendering the aesthetic blur without your input, you are no longer a photographer. You are a prompt engineer providing a physical input for an algorithm to interpret.
So if the AI takes over the execution, you lose the authorship.
You lose the intentionality. The tool shapes the experience of the user.
Which transitions us directly to the existential dilemma Eng faces right after realizing the phone's capabilities.
Yes.
Because Eng realizes their everyday carry phone is physically capable of creating authentic optical bokeh. And it features an AI co-pilot smart enough to switch into macro mode automatically.
Right.
It forces a massive question about the hardware we choose to own. If the phone in your pocket is this capable, do you ever need to buy a dedicated macro camera again?
Or worse, if you upgrade to next year's phone model with even better optical lenses and smarter AI, does the expensive, heavy, dedicated camera sitting on your desk just become a paperweight?
It's the ultimate battle of convenience versus specialization.
Absolutely.
Eng admits it is incredibly convenient to snap macros using a mobile phone as an everyday carry. You don't have to pack a heavy bag. You don't have to swap out physical lenses in the dirt. You don't even have to change the settings.
The automatic transmission just works.
Exactly. It just works.
But Eng doesn't abandon the traditional camera, which is telling. They reach a very specific, highly intentional compromise. They decide to stick with both systems for entirely different reasons.
Right. Eng writes, quote, "A dedicated camera for my daily gardening sessions and the mobile camera for when I'm on the run."
If we connect this to the bigger picture, back to your automatic versus manual transmission analogy, this compromise represents so much more than a simple choice of hardware.
Yeah.
The phone has already proven it can handle the image quality. This decision is entirely about the ritual of photography.
So what does this all mean? The ritual, I want to spend a minute on that. Why is the ritual so important when the convenient tool yields a nearly identical result? I mean, I think of it like a Swiss Army knife versus a dedicated chef's knife.
Oh, that's perfect.
Right. Like the phone is the ultimate Swiss Army knife you always have in your pocket. It'll cut an apple if you need it to.
Sure.
But the dedicated camera is the chef's knife you pull out when you are deliberately sitting down to cook, to create art.
That's a great way to put it. When Eng talks about daily gardening sessions, that implies dedicated time. It implies focus, slowness, and deliberate action.
You're not rushing it.
Exactly. When you pick up a heavy, dedicated camera, you are making a conscious physical decision to engage in the act of creation. You are choosing to turn the dials. You are manually adjusting the focus ring. You are feeling the gears catch.
The friction is the feature.
Yes, the friction is the feature. The heavy, complicated camera is a physical anchor that forces you into the present moment. You have to inhabit the space to operate the machine.
While the phone is for when they're on the run.
The smartphone represents pure spontaneity. It's reactive. You see something beautiful while you are walking somewhere else. You pull the device out of your pocket. The AI does the heavy computational lifting in milliseconds. You capture the data, and you keep moving.
It doesn't slow you down?
Right. The phone captures the moment without ever requiring you to stop and fully engage with it. It doesn't interrupt your momentum.
Going back to the cars. The phone gets you to the grocery store quickly and efficiently while you listen to a podcast. The dedicated camera is taking a vintage roadster out on a winding mountain road on a Sunday, purely for the sake of driving.
Exactly.
You aren't trying to get anywhere. The operation of the machine is the destination.
And it's a vital distinction to make as our everyday carry devices become exponentially more capable. The friction of manual tools forces us to slow down and observe.
Yeah.
We have to actively choose when we want to let the AI co-pilot take the wheel, because we are in a hurry, and when we need to demand the controls back because the act of steering is what gives the experience meaning.
I think that is a brilliant lens for you listening right now to view your own relationship with your devices. You know,
Absolutely.
what are the tools in your life that you use purely for convenience? Because you are on the run and you just need the automatic transmission to get you to the destination.
And what are the tools you refuse to give up?
Exactly. Even if they are heavier, slower, or vastly more complicated, simply because you value the cognitive friction and the ritual they demand.
It's the difference between capturing a piece of data and actively creating an image. Both have value, but they serve entirely different human needs.
We started this deep dive with Angale out in the garden, simply trying to document some leaves and flowers for an accurate plant identification.
Just a normal day.
Right, and that incredibly mundane, practical task cracked open this massive realization about the invisible hand of AI applying sensible defaults. It proved the staggering physical optical capabilities of modern phones, while also highlighting this perpetual tug-of-war between the ease of everyday convenience and the necessity of deliberate artistic rituals.
It is a phenomenal amount of philosophical weight to extract from a single photograph of a cosmos flower.
It really is. And I want to challenge you to try a little experiment yourself today. Open up the camera roll on your own phone. Scroll through your recent photos and play detective with your own memories.
That's a fun idea.
Look closely at the backgrounds of your portraits or your close-ups. Check the edges of the subjects. How many of those beautiful shots do you think were the result of deliberate hardware choices? Real physics, curved glass, and organic overlapping light.
And how many were just software?
Exactly. How many were the result of an invisible AI co-pilot silently stepping in, calculating depth maps, drawing invisible lines, and applying sensible defaults to fake a buttery texture?
As you look at those edges and gradients in your own photos, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought from Ang's journal entry.
Yeah, what's that?
Well, to figure out if the blur in that photo was optical or computational, Ang didn't trust their own human eyes to make the distinction. They utilized an artificial intelligence system to analyze the image.
Oh, right.
They asked a machine to verify the authenticity of another machine's output.
Which feels like stepping through the looking glass, honestly.
Completely. As our tools get smarter, as the edge detection becomes flawless, and as the sensible defaults become utterly indistinguishable from physical reality, we are increasingly relying on algorithms to be the arbiter of what is real and what is artificial in our own creations.
Wow.
If an AI is automatically taking the photo for you, and another AI is required to judge the authenticity of the photo, it begs a profound question about the human standing in the middle holding the device.
Which is?
Who are we ultimately taking these photos for? Ourselves, or the machines analyzing them?
Man, when you frame it like that, it makes you look at the little circle of glass on the back of your phone entirely differently. Is it a window allowing you to capture your reality, or is it just a data collection point feeding an algorithm?
It's a bit unsettling.
It is. That mechanical truth of a photograph we used to trust so deeply. We really are navigating incredibly murky waters now.
Murky, artificially intelligent waters. But the deeper we understand the mechanisms, the better we can navigate them.
Keep digging, keep looking closely at the edges, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.